Hi, this is Lauren from LSP Actions, and in the next video I'm going to give you a fast-paced overview in how to use the Chronicles Photoshop Action Suite to create a warm, happy, sentimental scene. If you're unsure of how to use the actions, how to get them into Photoshop, and you'd like more of an in-depth overview, please do watch video 1 where I go into all the details of how to use these actions. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this image. I'm going to start here with the set the scene base. You can play each one of these individually by clicking on them, but I'm just going to click up here, play them all, and this will stack them above my background image. They will all be invisible. Each layer has a little eye next to it. Here you can click the eyes on or off to see the effect on your image. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn these on exactly as they are. You can go in and edit each one further by sliding the opacity or by changing the filter if you want to, but you really don't need to. You will find that the result they give is normally just enough. Not too much, not too little. Now I'm into the Sculpt the Light brushes section. Again, I've clicked play them all. This will play all of them to give me so much choice into what I would like to paint on or not paint on to my image. So you need to make sure you have a white brush selected, set to 100% opacity, 25% flow, make sure your brush is soft and white, and click on the black layer mask next to each of these layers and come over to your image and paint on. So I'm on the draw the attention brush. I'm going to use this to paint over the faces and anywhere else I'd like to draw attention to. With an edit like this, you want to draw the eye in by lighting certain areas and by turning the lights down in other areas. So I'm on to softly darken. I'm just going to make my brush bigger by pressing the right bracket key, and I'm just going to darken the edges of this image here. Softly does it. I'm going to use the sharp brush over their faces there. I'm going to click on darken more and just going to bring the darkness into the background here. Soft brush, I'm going to use this to soften up the background a little. Contrast, I'm going to brush this over the subject here. Again, we're drawing the eye into the story. Softly brighten brush, I'm just using my keyboard shortcut to make the brush a little bit smaller. I feel that was a little bit much, so I'm going to come up here on softly brighten layer and just turn the opacity down a little bit, because I don't think for this image I need to brighten their faces up too much more. So I'm going to ignore the brighten more. Highlights down. I'm going to use this in the background a little bit to take some of these highlights down a touch. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close that group now. It's active here, so you can always come back and edit more if you want to. I'm going to skip the Divine Blur section for this image, but you can go ahead and watch the Divine Blur video or the other videos that feature the Divine Blur to learn how to use it. Now we're onto Dreamy Skin. I'm going to click play them all again. You could click these individually, for example like this, Bright Eyes, and you would just get the Bright Eyes brush layer. A soft white brush has been selected for you, so you can simply go ahead and paint this onto the eyes. But I'm going to click play them all. Again, I love choosing play them all because sometimes you don't know exactly what you want to edit, so by clicking play them all you can decide which ones you would like to paint on, which ones you don't want to paint on, and really make it your own. So again, a white brush has been selected for me, Painterly Silk Skin is selected, so I'm just going to go ahead and brush this over the skin to create this glowing artistic feel. This is when the storytelling really starts to take shape in your image. Now I've painted this all over. I don't want it to go over the eyes, so I'm going to switch to a black brush, make this nice and small, and take it off the eyes, the lips, potentially the hair, any way you don't want to look overly soft. Let me zoom in so I can show you this effect. So that's before and after using the Painterly Silk Skin. Now I'm onto the sharp details brush, so I'm going to add this to really start popping these eyes here. Little areas of hair, I'm just going to do the same here. I'm going to sharpen up that drip. Bright eyes, make this small. I'd recommend not going over the whites of the eyes unless you have to. That can look a little bit overdone. So I'm just going over a certain part of the eyes just to pop them a little. Darken brush. You can use this to darken areas of your image or your subjects that you do not need to draw the attention into. Brighten face. Let's take that down a little and brighten up these natural light areas where the light is naturally hitting here. Just going to turn the opacity of that layer now I've painted it on, just to hone the effect. 3D contrast, I'm going to paint some contrast on, just like this, over the subjects. Delectable sharpen, yeah, I'd like to sharpen them up a touch. And calm the skin tone. If they're looking a little bit neon in the skin, you can use this just to calm the skin tones down a little. So I'm going to go ahead and close that group. See now, turn that on or off. That's the dreamy skin and details. You can carry on playing these, you can add more if you want to. Now we're down to the whimsical wash section. Here is where your image really comes to life. You can really start creating that beautiful warm scene. So you can choose to play them all. This will flatten your image first, but it will save a snapshot for you. So I really want to go for a really warm look and feel to this image, so I'm going to go straight ahead and click extra warm evening. If it's a little bit much, you can turn it down here, or you can decide to paint this off of your subjects by using a blank brush. I think I'm going to go even warmer, so how about we go for warm cuddles. Yeah, I like that effect, so I'm just going to take that off the subjects a little bit. You can mix and match, so I've mixed extra warm evening and warm cuddles, but you can go ahead and you play as many of these as you like, turn them on or off, slide the opacity, paint them on or off. This is where you can really make it your own. So I'm going to take Vanilla Cream away because I don't think I needed that one there. Okay, so now we're down to the enhancements section. I think I want to put a haze in the background here. I'm just going to go back on brown sugar quickly and take that off the skin a little bit. Okay. So let's go first with background painter. Double click the coloured box, choose the background colour, and you can change it again later if you want to. So you see this little box here, double click that. And let's choose the colour we want the background haze. Now I really want to look like kind of a late evening sunset, so I'm just going to go for a nice orangey tone. Click the background painter again and this will finish and play out. You can see it's now hidden. So select a nice big brush and I'm just going to add that in a little bit here, just to add the background paint there. You can lighten it up a little or darken it depending. I'm going to play the extra blur action here. I didn't use divine blur for this one because it wasn't needed, but I just want to blur the top of the image here. So I'm going to creep this blur up until I'm happy with the level of blur and hit OK. You see the action has made this layer invisible. So I can just make my brush smaller, white brush, and paint the blur on. I'm just going to blur these areas here too. If you want to blur directly behind your subject's head, I really recommend using the divine blur action, but this one is great just for a little bit of sentimental blur in the background. Just make sure you don't paint over your subjects. I think I'm going to play the darken edge enhancement, just to bring the focus in more to the subjects. And using a black brush, I'm just going to paint this off from around them. Now down to the final art layers, I'm going to play a touch of contrast. I think I'm going to play Calm the Yellow Paint, just to take a little bit of this yellow off the skin. a little bit of brighten paint, I think. And you can always go back up and play more portrait brushes. You can add more of the scene sliders. You can add more washes if you want to, whatever you like. I'm just going to take that down a touch. I think I'm going to play the Sweet Soft Sharpen. This does exactly what it says it does. It adds a real softness to your image, and when you zoom in you've got a sharpness over the top. Adds a real beautiful finish to your image. You can leave it just as it is, or you can slide the opacity depending on the effect you want to create. I think I'm going to give one last touch of brighten up paint. I'm just going to make my brush nice and big, and I'm just going to whack this in the middle. So I'm just making my brush bigger. One more. Oh, I've clicked strong contrast. I wanted to click a touch of contrast, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this one down. So now we have a beautifully warm storytelling image here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you where we started, where we finished. So I'm going to turn these off. So we added set the scene base, so we went through and turned the individual layers on or off to taste. And then sculpt the light brushes, where we started painting the light on and off to the image. And then the dreamy skin details brushes. We added the whimsical wash, extra warm evening, warm cuddles, and brown sugar. I did a background haze coming through the window. A little bit of extra blur in the background there. Darken the edges, added a little touch of contrast. Calm the yellow and brighten paint. A sweet soft sharpen on the final art layers, and a little bit more contrast, and we're done. If you'd like to know how to add bubbles into an image like this, please do watch the next video where I go into part 2 and I show you how you can use the add a bubble action to add bubbles into an image like this. Thanks for watching.